Hello, and welcome back to day 20 of Popcornween. And tonight we're going to be talking about the second film in the best trilogy ever made. That's right, we're talking about 1987's cult classic, Evil Dead 2.
I'm alright.
I don't think so.
There's something out there. Lives out in those woods. In the dark. Something that's come back from the dead.
Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell team up again in a sequel that appears nobody wanted to do. The fans did, but not so much Sam Raimi or Bruce Campbell.
And Sam was adamantly against it. So, ostensibly, Sam, Bruce, and Rob hired Scott and I to make Evil Dead 2, and they were going to executive produce. And I wrote a draft of Evil Dead 2 that has absolutely nothing to do with what became Evil Dead 2. Anyway, nobody liked it, and they didn't really want to do it anyway. And when it looked like they were not going to get another movie, they were able to get to Dino De Laurentiis and pitch him the idea of Evil Dead 2, and he went for it.
Now, with backing, they decided to go ahead with Evil Dead 2. With a bigger budget, they can fix some of the problems they had with the first movie, i.e. the special effects, all the background work, just better working conditions in general. So they start shooting, but there's only one problem.
Sequels that were never planned. They were never planned. So you don't know how to tie these together. We didn't know we were going to do another Evil Dead. Had no idea whatsoever.
See, the problem with 2 was everybody's dead in the first one. So how do you get them back? How do you get another group of people back?
So I think we have to resurrect Ash, even though he's killed in the first Evil Dead. He's dead. The evil entity got him. So we decided to just beat him up a little bit.
But we couldn't reuse the footage, so that was really frustrating to do a recap on that. So it was re-envisioned and recreated in that sense.
We couldn't get the rights to the footage from Evil Dead for Evil Dead 2. It was 2 different companies. And they were like, well, let's just pretend that the first one didn't happen.
So, right off the bat, the first 20 minutes is like a complete recap. It's like the main question when you Google the movie. But it makes sense when you look at what they had to go through. And the next thing people noticed was the complete and total tone shift in the movie, as compared to the first one.
I thought it was incredibly well done. It was very fast-paced, and the audience was really into it when I was there. So that was a big, plus, and it made me feel like, I think this is really going to work.
I loved it. I thought it was great, though it was very hard to figure out if you were supposed to laugh or be scared.
I remember thinking, God, this is like a remake of the first movie, but it's funny, like really funny. And I was like, was it supposed to be funny? Because everyone around me is laughing, and I'm kind of going, is this supposed to be like this?
As the movie started to roll, I was starting to become kind of appalled at what I had worked on. And my friend was laughing beside me, and I was getting a little irate. I thought he was making fun. And I said, why are you laughing at this picture? And he goes, don't you get it? And I go, no, I don't understand. He goes, it's a dark comedy.
The reactions to that movie are really special because they just don't know how to do it.
Now, the reason for the shift really depends on who you ask. According to Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, they didn't really want to be known as the, horror guys at the time. They just want to make movies, no matter what they are. But for what's probably the real answer, you got to do a little digging and look up what happened in the first movie. Because even though it became a cult classic and pretty much beloved, it did give Sam Raimi a lot of headaches. So much so you can kind of see why the movies end up going in the direction they did.
My initial kind of knowledge of the film was that it was like this bad, evil film, that it was a video nasty. Basically what happened is it was very much similar to here, but when videos first there was the first video boom, there wasn't a separate classification for video. And a lot of the distributors were pretty naughty in terms of, say something like Alicia Yoshi's Zombie would be released at the cinema with 10 minutes cut out of gore. The same distributors would just put out the uncut version on video, thinking that nobody would ever check. And of course they did. So when they kind of found out that this was happening, they just had a massive clampdown. And there were films like Evil Dead, which is like, yes, it's kind of gory, but it is like a work of art in its field. It's like, this doesn't deserve to be kind of like, this doesn't deserve to be seen in this way. Even though it is kind of intense and gory, it shouldn't be lumped in with like Faces of Death, A Nice Bit on Your Grave, you know. I think even Sam like had to go to like Leeds Crown Court to kind of defend the film in court.
It's crazy to look at Evil Dead now and think that Sam Raimi was brought up on obscenity charges because of it. That this is a video nasty. And that the reason that Sam Raimi made Evil Dead 2 funny was because he was put on trial in England. It's like insane. I mean, we've come so far. But can you imagine that, going to jail for making Evil Dead? I mean, I guess it'd be worth it because Evil Dead's awesome.
Even though we turned it into a dark comedy, it was not without its challenges. A lot of advertising companies and distribution centers just wouldn't even touch it because of the non-rating and, word of mouth. It was pretty much treated like a snuff film, again. But they were able to get over all that, make the movie they wanted to, and get it out to theaters. But this movie especially, they beat the crap out of Bruce Campbell. And kind of everyone on set, again, just like the first Evil Dead.
Any opportunity to torture Bruce, Sam would take within a second.
Okay, now attack Bruce wildly. And beat him once. And go for it again, higher. Hold it, Dave, leave it there for a while.
Sam would always like call him, you big baby, and yeah, you can't take it. Oh, you're too hot, huh?
Bruce is an inspiring guy to work with because you're watching him get annihilated through any amount of physical and mental breakdowns, and you feel like you want to gripe about something. He's Sergeant Rock who's taking bullets in his face. You go, well, I guess because I got a hangnail, I probably should shut up.
Little did he know that kind of physical comedy would kind of become a Bruce Campbell staple. But even badasses like Bruce Campbell, all that stuff is going to take its toll. 30 years later, when he was on his third season of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, where even though he was pushing 60, he was still doing that crazy type of pretty hardcore physical comedy.
Yo, Granny. Hope you took your Geritol. It's time to dance.
Oop, can't show you that. Needless to say, Grandma loses a head, and everybody gets covered up in, well, granny goop. And if you've never seen Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I highly recommend it. Bruce Campbell does some crazy stuff on that show. It only got 3 seasons, but actor Bruce Campbell said that was kind of a relief. He loved doing the show, but he just said his body couldn't take it anymore. All the funny mannerisms that he kind of develops in this second movie are all perfected by Army of Darkness and by Ash vs. the Evil Dead. I don't know how they pulled that off and, made it work, but damn it, is it great. It really shouldn't have worked, but these movies are some of the most rewatchable movies that exist for both horror and comedy people. Not only is it a cult classic, but it actually made money at the time. Not a ton because of all the things they faced, but enough for them to at least get greenlit for a third and final movie. And man, did that movie look like it was fun to make. But that'll have to be a discussion for our next video. This wasn't, like the other ones where it was a review, more of like behind the scenes and why this movie just changed completely from the first one. And in my opinion, was made better by it. And if you disagree, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Scare you later.